In this video, we will make corrections to your Unit 3 end of unit assessment to help get points back onto your quiz. Let's get started. All right, our first question here. Zion is reading a 300-page book. He has read 40% of the book so far. How many pages of the book has he read? All right, let's get this started. Let's pick out our information here. We know that his book is 300 pages. So that's going to go on the bottom because that is the total pages in the book. We are just looking for the pages that he has read. So we're going to be looking for the part. We know that he has read 40%. We know that all percents go over. That's right, all percents go over 100. So this is going to be my problem setup. We have 40%, which is 40 out of 100. We have the 300-page book, which is the total. And then how many pages has he read? That's going to be the part that we're looking for. Total goes on bottom, part goes on top. Now we need to look for a pattern. We know that to go from 100 to 300, that's right, you multiply by 3. If I multiply the bottom by 3, I also need to, that's right, multiply the top by 3. 40 times 3 gives us 120 pages. So our final answer is going to be 120. Because 40% is 40 out of 100. But we don't have 100 pages, we have 300 pages, so we need to convert it. 100 times 3 is 300. 40 times 3 is 120 pages. All right, let's keep going. Eliza and David both walk at a constant speed, meaning they're walking the same speed the whole time. Eliza walks 200 feet in 4 minutes. David walks 360 feet in 6 minutes. Who is walking faster? All right, in order to compare this, we need to have the same denominator. We cannot compare 4 minutes and 6 minutes. All right, Eliza walks 200 feet in 4 minutes. Let's figure out how many feet per minute is that. Let's go down to 1 minute. To go from 4 minutes to 1 minute, you divide by 4. And then 200 divided by 4 would give you, that's right, 50 feet per minute. Because 20 divided by 4 gives you 5, and then add in the 0. Now let's look at David. 360 feet in 6 minutes, and again, we're going to go down to 1 minute because we want both of these to have the same denominator. 6 divided by 6 gives us 1 minute, and then 360 divided by 6. I know 36 divided by 6 gives us 6, and then add a 0. So who is walking faster here? That's right, that would be David, because he's walking 10 more feet in that 1 minute. Or sorry, yeah, feet. So our final answer would be David. All right, let's keep going. Afia bought shoes that were on sale for 30% off the regular price. So I'm going to write 30% as 30 over, that's right, 100. All percents go over 100. Afia saved $12. What was the regular price of the shoes? All right, so if she saved $12, the savings is going to go on the top because that is just part of the price. That is what she saved. We're looking for the total price, and then the total goes on the bottom. All right, let's look for a pattern. I cannot go from 30 to 12, and I can't go from 30 to 100, so there's no vertical or horizontal pattern. So what we need to do is do a workaround or simplify this down first. 30 over 100 is the same as 3/10. Because again, if you got 3 out of 10 on a quiz, that would be a 30%. Each question would be worth 10 points. If I simplify that down to 3/10, I can now go from 3 to 12. How do you go from 3 to 12? That's right, you multiply by 4. Now, if I multiply the top by 4, also multiply the bottom by 4. 10 times 4 would give us $40. So our final answer is $40. Because again, we couldn't go from 30 over 100 down to a part of 12. So we simplify first, which would be 3/10. 30 over 100 and 3/10 are equivalent. Then I can go from 3/10, multiply by 4 to get 12, and then 10 times 4 would give you $40. So the shoes were $40 and she saved $12, which is 30%. All right, let's keep going. Matteo's pasta sauce recipe uses 4 tomatoes for every 10 teaspoons of oil. So I'm going to write that over here. Select all the true statements. Okay. The recipe uses 2.5 teaspoons of oil per tomato. Let's see if that's true. To go down to per tomato, we need 1 tomato, so that's going to be divided by 4. Let's divide 10 by 4 to see if that's 2.5. 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract 2, get 2. Decimal, bring down the 0. It is, in fact, 2.5. So that is true. The recipe uses 2.5 teaspoons of oil per tomato. However, we need to keep going because it says select all the true statements. We're looking for 3. So let's erase this and keep going. I'm going to keep the 4 tomatoes to 10 teaspoons of oil. Because that is what we're working with. Oh, I gotta switch back to the pen. There we go. Okay, 10 tomatoes for every 4 teaspoons of oil. We already know that that's not true. You cannot just swap the numbers around. All right, the recipe uses 2 tomatoes for every 5 teaspoons of oil. Let's see if that's true. All right. To go from 4 tomatoes down to 2, you divide by 2. And then 10 divided by 2 does give you 5 teaspoons of oil. So C is also true. All right, let's keep going. The recipe uses 5 tomatoes for every 11 teaspoons of oil. I already know that that is not true, because you can't just add one of each. Right? To make equivalents, you can only multiply or divide. So that must mean that E is true because we're looking for 3. The recipe uses 0.4 tomatoes per teaspoon of oil. Let's see if that's true. All right, so to go down to 1 teaspoon of oil, we divide by 10. 4 tomatoes divided by 10. 4 divided by 10 is, in fact, 0.4. So that is true. All right, let's keep going. Amari took 2 hours to paint 7 feet of the 28-foot-long fence. At this rate, how long would it take Amari to paint the entire fence? Okay, so it took her 2 hours to paint 7 feet. But the whole fence is 28 feet. So we want to figure out how long would it take to paint the whole fence. If it takes 2 hours to paint 7 feet, we need to go from 7 to 28, which is correct. We have to multiply by 4. 2 times 4 gives us 8 hours. Again, if we multiply the feet by 4, you also have to multiply the hours by 4. 7 feet times 4 gives us 28 feet. 2 hours times 4 gives us 8 hours. All right, let's keep going. All right, to find 10% of a number, what do you divide by? First, we need to think about how many tens make 100. And that is times 10. So 100 divided by 10 would give you 10%. So we would have to divide by 10. Because again, 10 tens make 100. All right, how do we go now? So to find 20% of a number, how do we go from 20% to 100%? How many 20s make 100? That's right, would be 5. So 20% times 5 is 100%. So to go from 100% down to 20%, we would divide by 5. To find 50% of a number, 50% times 2 would give you 100%. So to find 50%, you would have to divide by 2. Also remember, another way to say 50% is half. And to get half of something, you divide by 2. Now let's look to find 25% of a number. We need to think how many 25% make 100%. That's right, it would be 4. So to find 25% of a number, you would have to divide by 4. Because again, another way to say 25% of something is 1/4. 1/4 is 25 cents. All right, let's keep going. Sydney's Fitness app says she has completed 70% of her goal. So I'm automatically going to write 70 over 100 because percents go over 100. Her goal is 50 miles. How far has she biked? So I'm going to write 50 on the bottom here because that is her total goal. And we are just looking how far has she biked so far, which is going to be the part. Total goes on bottom, part goes on the top. To go from 100 to 50, we would divide by 2. If we divide the bottom by 2, we also need to divide the top by 2. 70% divided by 2 gives you 35. So she has biked 35 miles. 70% is 70 over 100. To go from 100 down to 50, which is her goal, you would divide by 2. 70 divided by 2 is 35. All right, last question. Amari has painted 12 feet of a 20-foot fence, so 12 out of 20 feet. What percent of the fence has she painted? So we are looking for a percent, so we want a new bottom of 100. To go from 20 to 100, we multiply by 5 because 5 20s make 100. If we multiply the bottom by 5, we also multiply the top by 5, which is 60. 12 times 5 is 60. Again, we painted 12 out of 20 feet. What we want to go to a percent, which is out of 100. To go from 20 feet to 100, we multiply by 5, and then 12 times 5 gives us 60. All right, that is all of the problems that were on the quiz. Thank you for completing, and we will see you soon. Bye.